Alright guys, welcome to your 23rd tutorial, and in this tutorial you guys are going to be excited because this is probably the one you've been waiting for. I'm finally going to show you guys what happens when a car crashes into a truck. So what we need to do is, a cop called me last night. True story, not really, but who cares. Cop called me last night and he's like, Bucky, you're probably the greatest physicist I know, and I have a problem. Someone was driving drunk last night and they crashed into a truck. However, we need to figure out how fast they were going because we need to give them a ticket. I can't figure that out because I'm not as smart as you, so that's why I called you. And I was like, you know what? Okay, just let me make a YouTube video about this because it's going to be awesome. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I always write down my formula. Momentum equals mass time velocity. By the way, the symbol for momentum is P in physics, if I didn't mention that earlier. So what I like to do now is I like to draw a diagram. First, what happened before the crash, and what happened, yeah, if you guys couldn't guess it, after the crash. So this is the information they gave us. Before their crash, there was a car. Now this car had a drunk driver in it. His name was Al, but that's not important. And he also says that this car was traveling at some velocity that we need to figure out. So for now, I'm just going to write question mark miles per hour because that's what we need to figure out for him. However, he did tell us that the car had a mass of 3,000 kilograms, which is useful information. So I said thank you for that. Now, he also told us that it crashed into a truck. Now, this truck just happened to be filled with roast beef. So I'll just write beef truck on here. And I'll color the wheels white because I'm bored. There we go. Now this truck, he said, was parked. So that means it has a velocity of 0 miles per hour. And this also had a mass, well, not also, it had a mass of 6,000 kilograms. So I said, okay, thank you for that crucial information. However, I also need to know what happened after the collision. So after the collision, he says it was pretty ugly. This car was going really fast, and it got really banged up at the end. So it kind of looks something like, an elephant that has like, I don't know, like an anorexic elephant or something. And it crashed into this truck, banged it up as well. However, it still had its nice white wheels. Let me just finish drawing this, and might as well finish my diagram. I mean, I drew it this far. So beef truck and a car. So he says these two vehicles were crashed into each other so hard that they actually welded together into one big solid object. Now, after the crash, lucky someone was there to calculate the speed, and they figured out that this big hunk of metal was traveling 10 miles per hour. And I said, okay, well, you don't even need to tell me how much the mass is because we know that before the collision, the beef truck had a mass of 6,000 kilograms and the car had a mass of 3,000 kilograms. Therefore, the total mass of this big hunk of metal is 9,000 kilograms. So now he's like, you know what? Can you find how fast the car was going with just this information? And I said, you know what? Lucky for you, I just happen to be teaching the law of conservation of momentum, so let me show you guys how to do that. The first thing we need to do is we need to calculate the total momentum after the crash. So, of course, momentum equals mass times velocity. So if we take the mass of this, which is 9,000, and we multiply it by 10 miles per hour, we get total momentum equal to 90,000, and the units you write is just kilograms times miles per hour. So after the collision, this object had a total momentum of 90,000 kilograms times miles per hour. Why is that important? Well, because once we have the total momentum after the collision, we have the total momentum before the collision. So we know before the collision, this entire system right here must have had a momentum of 90,000 kilograms times miles per hour. We also know that this beef truck had 0 momentum. Why do we know that? Because it has 0 velocity, and whenever something has 0 velocity, it automatically has 0 momentum. So that means, through reasoning, that this car must have had all the momentum in the system. This car had a momentum of 90,000 before it hit this truck. So now we can use this information to solve the rest of this problem. So car before, we know that it had a momentum of 90,000 kilograms times miles per hour for reasons that I just explained. Now, in order to figure out the initial velocity, what we need to do is we need to use that formula of P, or momentum, equals mass times velocity. Now, in order to get velocity alone, what we do is and you guys should already know this, I probably shouldn't even have explained this, but okay, calm down, Bucky. We divide both sides by the mass. So in this case, the total momentum of the car is 90,000 kilograms times miles per hour. And if you guys forgot, the total mass of the car alone, not the entire system, but only the car, was 3,000 kilograms. So in order to calculate velocity, which is basically momentum over mass, what we do is we can first cancel out these units, kilograms, kilograms, that's the easy part, and then we take a 90,000 and put it over 3,000, and we end up with a velocity equal to, can you guys guess? 30 miles per hour. And you guys can actually see that because that's the only unit we have left. So there you go. That is how you figure out, in this example, like if you have a cop, or this is pretty much what a lot of you guys are going to be doing whenever you work with law enforcement and your physicists. Basically, they're going to have some information and they want you to put the rest of the puzzle together. So guys, little tidbit of information: if you're ever driving a car that's 3,000 kilograms and you crash into a beef truck that is 6,000 kilograms and you end up going 10 miles per hour due to the result of the crash, then that must mean that you were going 30 miles per hour to begin with. So again, that guy wasn't driving that drunk, but we might lie to the cops because we don't like drunk drivers and say that he was going 80. Hey, they'll believe us. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you like that example, and plenty more to come. So I'm going to go grab a roast beef sandwich, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.